we're off. Let's talk about how to connect your ESP to bucket.io so that you can pass your audience responses over to your email marketing service. So again, and I know I talk about this every time I do one of these webinars, but I definitely want you guys to know that at the end of this call, we are going to do a Q&A. We will answer your questions, but even then, if you still need help, I will invite you to schedule a one-on-one call with a bucket.io specialist to help you past any issue that you might be having with your with setting up your campaigns or your surveys or your segmentation funnels. All right. The main objectives for this webinar are to show you how to connect your ESP to Bucket, plain and simple. Right. By the end of this webinar, I expect everyone on here to at least know how to do that. Not only connect it to your email service provider, but also know how to send over all the data that you collect from your responses. So starting off, we're going to be covering all the integrations that you can do with Zapier. Then we'll talk about some of the direct integrations. We've got some kind of news and updates on some of the new direct integration stuff. So we're going to cover both aspects of it today. I want to start with Zapier, though, because there is a lot of just kind of different things involved with that process. So, so the first thing I want to do, you know what? I should have already done this. Let's set up a Zapier. Let's go and log into Zapier real quick. So if you haven't done it already, if you have an email service provider that is not Mailchimp, if it's not Infusionsoft, and if it's not Ontraport, if you don't have an email service provider that's any of those three, you will currently need to use Zapier to pass the information that your audience gives you inside of your bucket survey funnels or your segmentation funnels to get that stuff over to your email service provider. So if you're using like Drip, or if you're using Aweber or GetResponse or any of those, you will need to use Zapier. There is a free version. There's a free plan so that if you're doing low volume in the beginning, just to kind of get all the kinks worked out of your funnels, you can certainly use that free version. As you start scaling and getting a lot of traffic, there is premium versions where you have to pay to use Zapier. But if you're pushing the kind of volume required for those, then it'll be worth it, right? So let me make sure I'm not leaving anybody behind. Got some questions? Anybody? All right. Yeah. So again, what Zapier does, if you're not familiar, is it connects the two web applications together. So Bucket is a web application that lets you segment and collect responses from your audience, like the traffic, the people that are coming to your funnels. But Bucket itself does not send any emails. That's what your email marketing service is for, right? And so what Zapier does is it connects the two. So you collect the information and segmenting information from your users in Bucket. Bucket tells Zapier, and then Zapier tells your email marketing service. It passes all that information through, all right? And so so if you don't have a Zapier, again, just go to Zapier.com. It's free. Just set it up an account, and then I will walk you guys through how to go about connecting it inside of your Bucket account. So the next thing we want to look at are Zapier Tags. All right, hold on one second. Before I jump into Zapier Tags, Chris has a great question. It says, is there a limit with the free version of Zapier as far as how many contacts can be sent to my ESP in a month? Yes, there's a limit, and that's why you definitely want to refer to the Zapier, because I think it's different based on whatever is being sent. So you definitely want to refer to Zapier. I would say just look at what all of their I don't want to go like super deep into Zapier, but I would just look at where is it at? Zapier. Just kind of look at their pricing and see what their free versions offer. So like, what is this free plan? Here, we'll just take a quick look while you guys, since you're asking as well, right? So for the free plan, oh my goodness, really? So for the free plan, of course they don't tell you exactly. what the free plan is. When you first set it up, it'll tell you what the free plan does. But yeah, it's enough. Like I said, I think it's. I don't know the exact limit, but yes, there is a limit to answer your question. But what exactly that is, you'll want to look that up with based on what you're going to be doing, and what Zapier offers. All right. So let's do this. What I want to do. What I want to do is I'm going to show you guys how the Zapier tags work so that when you're passing your information through to Zapier, everything gets sent through, all the responses, all the contact information, and it's a real simple setup. So let's take a look at that real quick. I'm going to jump into, why don't I just jump into I'm going to do a segmentation funnel, because there's some things about segmentation funnels I think that are different than, and I think more important that you guys understand and know about. So I've got just a test funnel here, a segmentation funnel. What I just did, in case you weren't watching, I clicked on segment. I'm in all my segmentation funnels, if you guys haven't gotten here before. And then I'm going to click on edit. And I'm going to walk you through what the Zapier tags are, how to use them, and then how they work when you're integrating your bucket funnel to your email service provider. Okay. So the way Zapier tags work, where you see them, stutter 5000. Where you see the Zapier tags is on each of your questions and on your outcomes. Okay. And so when you're going into your questions here, you'll see you've got Zapier tag, and I've got this test seg Q1, right? And so this is me telling Zapier later on, whatever the person chooses on this, I'm going to call that test seg Q1. So later on, I'm going to say, okay, this is the Q1 of that test segmentation funnel that I built. All right, and so I'm going to hit cancel there. I'm going to make sure that I've got this one filled in as well. And so this is test seg Q2. So you see the naming convention I'm using for this specific funnel is just the name of the funnel and then whatever question it is. For some of you, it may make more sense if you've got a segmentation funnel to have, if you're asking gender, right, to just put gender as the tag, or your biggest challenge, then you just put challenge as the tag, right? So whatever your field is, you can come up with any naming convention you want, but what you want to make sure you do is that for each question that you plan on sending over to your email service provider, make sure you put a Zapier tag on that. And then what you're also going to want to do is put a Zapier tag on each of your funnel or outcome pages. So like in this one, I'm calling this test seg outcome A. What I should probably do is name that something I can recognize a little easier. So in this case, I'll do hitting goals, right? And I'll hit save on that. For this one, I'll do what's working, okay? And I'll just kind of go down the list here. Feedback. And I'm going to show you guys why this is what this is going to do once you go load it into Zapier. Tech O, and then idea O. All right. So now I've tagged everything that could come out of Bucket. I've got my outcomes tagged. I've got all my questions tagged. So what's happening now is that everything that I've got tagged, I can now pass over into Zapier, who will then send those responses over to my email service provider, so that then I can use that later on to segment and market to my email list. Is everybody following me so far on why and how you set up Zapier tags? Just a real quick kind of check, just to make sure I'm not leaving anyone behind here. Yes, cool, yes, but this doesn't work with Aweber. I see what you're saying, and I'm going to show you how it will work with Aweber, I think, Donna. Just give me a second on that, and we'll take a couple of... what I'll do is when we're in there, I'll actually show you guys a few things. Yes, yes. Okay, cool. Everybody understands the process of Zapier tags. Fantastic. Um, Perfect. All right, so cool. So what we want to do now is we're going to jump over to configure, and then we're going to go into integrations. We're going to use, this is the little icon here. This is the Zapier icon. As you can see, this is how it looks. So this is how you know it's a Zapier integration. You'll click on that. And guys, just real quick, if you get these pop-up screens and you don't want to see them anymore, just click on this don't show again and hit the X, and you shouldn't see it on that specific screen anymore. They do show up on all the other screens. So on any screen you don't want to see it again, just click that and then go on. So let's go here and we'll manage our integrations. You always want to continue with a test lead as well. Oh, you know what? Hey, before I do this, I'm going to show you guys just another kind of pro tip here. Because you notice that I made a copy of this seg funnel. And so now it'll show up as copy of test seg funnel, and all that's going to do is drive me crazy. So why don't we do this? 10 test segmentation, and I'm going to hit save on that. So that way later on when I go into Zapier, we'll be able to see exactly which funnel we're working on. So I'm going to create the Zap. You're going to see this every time. It's always going to say create a new Zap with, or my first Zap with Bucket, even if it's your 1 millionth, which I think I'm getting close to 1 million. Since we're in a segmentation funnel, click on New Segmentation, hit Save and Continue. If you've already added your Bucket account, it'll already be here. But if you've not yet added a Bucket account, I should have showed you guys this earlier. Let's connect an account here. And then what you're going to do is just paste in your API key. And if you're not familiar with the API key from Bucket, all you do is just jump back over to Bucket, click on your name, click on Account Settings, and it's right here. All you got to do is copy this code here, just right-click and copy. Don't click this button here. This does not copy it. What this does is it generates a new one, which breaks anything that you've attached your API key to. So unless you get some kind of account breach or security breach, you shouldn't be clicking on this green button here. All right, so just copy this just by highlighting it and copying it, and then you come back over to Zapier, hit the connect account, paste that bad boy in right there, and you're good to go. Hit yes, continue, and then it'll be there. And like I said, once you add it in, it'll always be here. Boom, so hit save and continue from there. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to choose the segmentation funnel that we're working in, right? And so we just created this one, this 10-10 test segmentation. You see the importance of actually naming your funnel, something that you can easily see right off the bat. Again, I know I harp on that a lot, but it's super duper important, especially as you guys get in here and start building out multiple funnels, right? So we'll hit continue, and then what Zapier is going to do is going to go check in, make sure we connected everything right. So it's going to fetch the test lead that we put in. Test is successful, so now we're going to move on to this next step, which is to connect our email service provider. And so here I've got ActiveCampaign. I have Ontraport, but just a little hint for what's coming up. We've actually got a direct integration with Ontraport, and so we're not going to be using that in Zapier anymore. But I heard, what was the one that we mentioned earlier? That was Aweber. Let me pull this back up. Aweber. Okay. Yeah. So Drip, Aweber, both of those work in Zapier. I'll take a look at both of them just so you guys can see it. And if you want to, go ahead and list your your email service provider in here, and I will make sure we kind of at least pull it up and look at it. Right? I won't be able to connect to them all, but we should be able to at least connect into them. Infusionsoft, well, okay, awesome. Well, so you Infusionsoft folks, you get the direct integration. Anyone that's not Infusionsoft or Mailchimp or Ontraport. We got drip, we got active campaign, drip, 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 drip. Something tells me we need to do a direct integration with drip. What do you guys think? Yes, yes, yes. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to jump into Aweber real quick and see if I can connect to it. I don't have an Aweber account, but I think I should at least be able to show you guys something. I hope. All right, so what you're looking for with the Aweber connection is this create a subscriber. Yeah, I was afraid of that. So I'm not going to actually be able to show you the template section on here for Aweber, but do the, hey, who was it that was using Aweber? Donna, can you tell me, just in the chat, and I'm going to get back to, I'm going to go jump into Active Campaign real quick, just as kind of, since there are a few people in here on Active Campaign. Oh, so Zapier said it's an issue that they have to resolve. Well, that stinks. Okay. Have you? Okay. So just so everyone knows, with Aweber, it looks like I'm going to read off Donna's issue. So if you're watching this replay and you're using Aweber and you've been pulling your hair out, here's what Donna says. She says she can connect to Aweber, but the tags do not show up in Aweber. And Zapier said it is an issue that they have to resolve, which is why Donna, and likely you, if you're watching this on the replay, probably would love a direct integration with Aweber. So duly noted. The good news is we have a few support guys on here. You guys take that into consideration and pass that up the chain. All right, so why don't we do this? Since Aweber is kind of the Reddit stepchild here, why don't we try? Let's see, another one was Active Campaign. So why don't we walk through Active Campaign real quick? And we're going to do the same thing. And guys, it's the same no matter what, whether it's drip, Active Campaign, Ontraport, GetResponse, Aweber. What we're looking at doing here is hitting this create update contact. Most providers have something that looks very similar to this. All right? So we want to create update contact, save and continue. And since I already have my Active Campaign here, I'm just going to hit save and continue. And then what you're looking at doing for the Active Campaign is just going to choose the list that you're going to be sending these responses into. And I'll just do that one, for instance. Now, the first step, and really the only necessary step, is to make sure you're passing through the email address. And the way you do that is you come over here and you click this little plus sign with like the little blue beeping thing, and you'll choose email. And then if you're asking for the name on the segmentation funnel that you're sending people through, you can just come over here and choose name. You can, if you're asking for the phone number, you can come over here and put in the phone. So you see what I'm doing is I'm choosing the options that are inside of here that have the little bucket next to them. And then if you want to pull your outcomes, or if you want to tag the person, what I always suggest people do when it comes to tagging is to use your outcomes for the tags. And the way that works is, you see how it has outcome here? So notice there's only one outcome. And the reason why is Bucket only sends the outcome that was chosen or that the person got based on the responses that they gave you in the segmentation funnel. So as if you look, you can kind of see on this test example, the outcome they just chose was that first one, the hitting the goals and deadlines. And now there's something I want you to pay attention to on this as well. So let me bring this back up. You see where it says hitting my goals and deadlines, how it's kind of spaced out like that? The reason why is that is the name that I gave it. Oh my God, did I really just do that? The reason why it's named that, and we go back in here, is that's what I call it in the on the thank you page, or on the outcome page here. So think about when you're naming these outcome pages, think about what you want this to say in your email marketing service, right? So in my case here, this would be, I would have a bunch of tags that are called hitting my goals and deadlines. What I may decide later on that I don't want this big 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 word tag. Maybe I just want it to be something like goals dash deadlines, right? So if I wanted to do a search, or if I wanted to segment and send out a message based on a certain tag, then this is the name that I would be looking for. Does this make sense to everybody, what I'm talking about there? Whatever you name this as is what's going to show up in that outcomes. Does that make sense? Or did I lose you? Okay. Chelsea asked the question, can we only pass one tag through Zapier? Can we put more tags for how they answered other questions? You can put as many tags as you want. What I'm showing you is that for outcomes, Bucket is only going, if you just choose outcome tag, Bucket's going to send the value of whichever outcome was chosen by the person who went through your segmentation funnel. Does that make sense? So instead of you sitting there and putting in outcome A, outcome B, outcome C, there's just one outcomes. There's just one outcomes option, and then it's dynamic based on whatever the person chose. And what I usually tell people is in the tagging part, use the outcome. For some of your fields, if you're asking like these, like in our case here, you can see. Let's jump back over here. You see where I'm asking, like, hitting my goals and deadlines, knowing what's really working. If I were to pass this over as a tag, it would be these long-winded question or responses. And for that, I would probably want to use something like use a field versus a tag. And so let me jump back over there real quick. And so you see how I have all these fields. Well, what you can do is find the field that you're going to use for that value, and then you just put that question value in the field versus the tag. Does that make sense? So for tags, I like using outcome. For all the other information that's coming in, I like using a field. That way you don't end up with these fields or these tags that are like ridiculously long. So hopefully that makes sense. I know that gets a little confusing for people sometimes, so I just want to make sure. You'd want to do this at the beginning, you change the name later. Yeah, you're totally right. So Peggy says you'd want to do all of this at the beginning. If you change the names of the tags later on, you end up with the same segmentation, but different names. So you got to try to keep keep up with all these tags, and you end up in tag HE double hockey sticks, which that's a nightmare all by itself. So you're right. So yeah. And we're discussing the we're discussing this information. Those are the questions that typically come up: is what is the difference? So can you guys? So I'm getting a couple of notes that you guys cannot hear me. The audio is in and out. Is that still an issue? It's fixed now. You're back. Okay, now was sketchy for a bit. That's crazy. Well, I will keep an eye on you guys then, because I don't know if you were here before. One time I went 30 minutes of talking and I didn't look, so I've got I've got the chat up. So if this, I'll keep an eye on it. But again, I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Jeremy, I don't know if you can hear me, but we are having audio problems again.
Can you guys still not hear me? It looks like I'm having internet.
Yeah, you're back.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys. Well, I really apologize. I hate being the guy who you can't hear on the webinar. So let's do this. I'm going to just keep moving forward. I'm almost positive you'll be able to hear the recording. So if it goes off, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep going, and and like I said, worst case scenario, you'll get a recording with the audio on it. So I apologize, guys. It looks like I'm having some kind of computer issues. Well, I'm going to keep pushing forward. So it looks like we've pretty much hammered the Zapier, connecting, the tagging, all that, to the point where most of you, it seems like you understand. Is there anyone else that doesn't understand the Zapier tags, Zapier connecting, and connecting it to your email service provider? Is there any part of it you do not understand as far as Zapier is concerned? Peggy's got it. John's got it. Anybody doesn't got it? All right, cool. Well, it looks like everyone's got it. Got it. Confused about when to choose a Zapier tag. Oh, we got someone who's a little confused. So let's go ahead and see if we can't answer this question for you, Chris. Confused about when to choose a Zapier tag. Can you finish that up for me? When in Zapier. Okay, so basically, anything that you want to send over to your email service provider, Chris, you're just going to choose that Zapier tag. Yep, I entered the tag in bucket.io. Hey, Hennes, could you do me a huge favor? Chris, I think you got like a really good response for Chris. Chris, I'm gonna let Hennes. He's one of our support specialists. He's gonna walk you through it in chat, so that I can kind of keep pushing forward, because I want to get into the direct integrations. I know there's a lot of Infusionsoft, Ontraport, and Mailchimp folks on here, but we will get this cleared up for you, so that you can make sure you get up and running. All right. Okay, guys. So again, for the direct integrations, I'm going to walk you through. There's a couple of really cool things in here now. Here, I'm going to back out. I'm going to jump through the ESP stuff over here. Okay. So like I said before, there's a couple of, I think since the last time we had this conversation about ESPs, I think all we had in there was Mailchimp. Well, now since then we have Infusionsoft and Ontraport. I'm going to walk you guys through getting that stuff set up if you're using those email service providers. All right. So what I just did, so let me go back to the dashboard just so you guys can see me walk all the way through to this section. So what I did on this top menu is I clicked on Settings, and then I clicked on Integrations. All right. You can see I already have a couple of integrations set up. But if you're going to add an integration in, it's super simple. For Mailchimp, all you need is your API key, And to get your API key in Mailchimp, all you got to do is go to your account. If you just like click on your name and go to your account, and then where it says extras, click on API keys, and then it'll bring you down here to your API key, and you just copy that and paste it in over here. Hit check API, should say it's all good to go, it's valid, hit save, and now you can use your Mailchimp. Ontraport, pretty much the same thing. You just come over to your admin, hit integrations, hit Ontraport API and key manager. You'll generate a new API key for your bucket, or you just use an existing one if you're not like managing them like super hardcore. As you can see here, we've kind of gone nuts over the years with this one. And then, so I think on this one, what did I call? I think I called it, oh yeah, direct to bucket. One thing I want to make sure you understand is API ID and API key are two different things, and they have to be in the right spot, or I'm not saying who did this, certainly wasn't me, but you got to get it right, or you get an error. So API key is the one over here on the right. API ID is that one that's on the left. So just make sure if you get an error, the error is probably that you got the wrong one. Another thing too is that when you paste these in from Ontraport, like if you copy it from this thing here, it'll always add like a ton of spaces. So always make sure you back those spaces up too. And then same thing, hit check API. It'll say it's working. And unless it's not, unless you did what someone that I'm not going to mention his name, put the wrong one, it'll tell you there's an error. So you just hit save on that. And now you've got your Ontraport added. And in a second, I'm going to show you guys how to set all this up. For Infusionsoft, unfortunately, you guys, I don't have the an Infusionsoft account that I can play in. But if you have Infusionsoft, then you've probably done this before, where you grab the API key and your custom URL, and you paste those in here. Do the same thing. Just check it, make sure it's working, and hit save on it, and then you'll have access to your Infusionsoft. Does this part make sense to everybody? Getting your API, adding it in, hitting save, and making sure it's activated over here. Cool. Awesome. All right. Looks like it's making sense to everyone. Fantastico. Great. Okay. Cool. Well, it looks like we're all on the same page. So now, how's about I show you how to add these to your funnel? Sound like a plan? So the way that you do it is in some ways it's a lot simpler. In most ways, in almost every way, it's simpler. So the first thing the first major difference is you know what? I'm just going to jump back to that segment that I had created. The first major difference is that you don't need Zapier tags, okay? Because that's only obviously for Zapier, right? So you don't have to. I mean, if you have them already in there, you don't have to worry about deleting them. I just did, just to kind of walk through that spot. But what you're looking for now is once you've set all your survey up or your segmentation funnel up, what you'll do is you come over to configure, and then you hit direct integrations versus integration using Zapier, and then you choose which the integration that you'd like to use for your funnel. Okay, so you see here I've got Mailchimp and I've got Ontraport. So I'm going to start with Mailchimp. I hit integrate, and you see here how it's turned on. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to select a default list from your ESP, so the list that your leads are going to go into or your responses are going into. And so in my Mailchimp, all I have is the one, and so I'm choosing that. And then so for each one of these, I'm saying for each one of these is the list that it's going into. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the merge or the fields from my lead capture and map them to the fields. So email address automatically goes to email, right? That's simple enough. And since I'm using multiple lead capture pages, it's going to do it for every one of those lead capture pages for this one. And then for name, I can come over here and just choose F name, right? F name, F name, F name. And you only need to do this if you're using the multiple lead captures. If you're only using one lead capture, it'll just be one, right? And then what you want to do is you want to merge your tag mapping. So what you can do now is take your default list, and then you choose the question that you want to map the tags to. And in this one, since I don't really have a tag field for this, it would be something like challenge, right? So because I'm asking you, hey, what is your biggest challenge on this, and which of these best describes you? So I would have a tag called challenge instead of birthday. I'm going to just choose birthday for now. And then for each of these, I just would put in this case, it would be goals, deadlines, right? What's working? Feedback and feeling overwhelmed. Actually, I probably wouldn't give that a tag. I would do that tag over here. Tech idea. So are you guys understanding what I'm doing here? Unlike with the Zapier where it just sends what they chose, now you actually get to tell it what you want the tag to be in your Mailchimp. So instead of having these tags that are hitting my goals and deadlines, you could just put you can name it whatever you want it to be. And you wouldn't be using birthday, you'd be using the actual field that you created specifically for each of these questions. So I'm going to save changes. I'm going to come back over to chat and make sure you guys understand. So this is just for Mailchimp. All right. Hey, Carl. Yeah. Can you send an email? That would be awesome. Can you send an email to jeremy@bucket.io? I would really appreciate that. Carl asked if I wanted a Infusionsoft sandbox account. So that would be awesome. Okay, what does add another at the top right do? Let me go back to the top right over there for you. And are you saying, okay, right here at this, add another right here? Or add another right here? So what you're looking for here is add another question, and then you can actually, so what you're looking for here is, so let's say I select a merge field. You can add multiple merge fields. So these things can go, like if you have multiple fields in Mailchimp that you want to apply these tags to, you can do that by adding another. And then you just you just name the tag, whatever you want it to be based on the choice will get sent to those fields. Does that make sense? Awesome. All right, so that's how you do Mailchimp. So I'm going to show you now. Ontraport's a little bit different. It's very similar. So as you guys can see, what's happening with the direct integrations is you're doing kind of the same thing that we were doing with Zapier, but now you're just doing it directly in Bucket, and you've got a lot more control over it. You're able to actually go in and say exactly what you want to pass over to Mailchimp or to Ontraport or to Infusionsoft directly from this screen here, instead of doing the Zapier tag and having less control. So here you get direct control over what gets put in. So I'm going to back out of here, and let's go back into direct integrations. I'm going to remove this one from this account so that I could show you, or not the account, from the funnel so that I can show you the Ontraport one real quick. All right, so what you're looking at here, and I think this is kind of does the same thing that you were asking earlier. So what you're looking for here is Ontraport works a little bit different than Mailchimp, and that Ontraport uses tags a lot, right? So what you can do here is base it on your outcomes. And I'll tell you right now, this is very, very valuable. As someone who uses Ontraport, what you're looking to do is tag these people so that you can put them in the right automations or campaigns, I guess it's called, so that you can tag them and pull people up based on who they are and what they chose. So you've got for your outcomes here, you want to tag your outcomes. And the way you do that is just come over here, select the tag that fits that outcome. And this one doesn't match, excuse me, this account doesn't match this test, but one of my funnels in here does. So it would be, you would just choose the tag that best fits, that you created that fits each of those outcomes, okay? Because if you're segmenting based on these outcomes, which are your buckets, then you'll just choose that tag that you created inside of Ontraport over here. You can also tag the questions and answers just by adding the question in, choosing the question, selecting the tag that you want to apply to it, and then you could add as many tags for each of these responses as you want. You can also remove them if you accidentally add the wrong one to it. And those are they're located with the way you get to your different tags that you chose. There's like a little slider here, and you can just go through each one that you chose. So with Ontraport, you guys, if you've used it, Ontraport is serious tagging, right? And then you can also do the custom fields mapping. So if you do want to pass a value that they entered, then you can do the exact same thing, but instead of a tag, you choose the custom field, right? Because a lot of times, like in order to spit something back out in like an email, for instance. So if you wanted to say, hey, well, since you were so interested in, and then whatever they chose, typically you're going to only be able to do that by using the custom field, right? And so so that's one of the reasons why you would want to do the custom fields mapping versus the tagging. But you can do both. So you have the option here of doing custom fields or tagging the questions and the answers themselves. Is this making sense to everyone who uses Ontraport? Did someone just ask if we could do a direct integration with Drip by the end of today's workday? Yes. Oh, that was not a yes of me saying yes. That was just reading back to the yes that you wrote. But you're totally right. Peggy said this is exactly like Drip would work, and it totally is. This is how most of them will work moving forward, guys. This is Ontraport was the first, and as you'll see, the dominoes will just start to fall. Like we realize how much you guys love this stuff and how much easier it makes it. And again, and I know since I haven't gone to take Carl up on his awesome and generous sandbox account for Infusionsoft, just so you know, it's the exact same thing for Infusionsoft, and then anything moving forward. Drip, Active Campaign, Drip, maybe Active Campaign and Drip. So that's how the direct integration works. All right, Chelsea's asking, can you explain the difference between tags and custom fields again? Absolutely. So in most cases, the custom fields are the fields that you can go in and specify in Mailchimp has it, Ontraport has it, Infusionsoft has it, ActiveCampaign, Drip, I've heard, has it. I know Drip has it. I use Drip too. You go in and create the custom fields so that, just imagine you're looking at your lead in your email service provider, like Drip, for instance. You've got the name, you've got the email address. Those are two fields. You got the phone number. It's another field, and then you've got what other fields that you ask the questions on. So in this case, it would be something like the biggest challenge, right? And then whatever they chose, that's what's included in that field. Then you've got your tags, which you're just applying to each of those leads as well. So you can tag people as took survey, right? Or you can tag them based on the outcome on their segmentation funnel. You're just going to have the tags attached to them, but the custom fields are where you're going to be storing like the custom values that the people choose on. And people use, the reason you would use the custom field over a tag is so that you could use that field again. Like I said before, if you're gonna, in an email, do like spit something back to them. Well, hey, you said you were this, and then whatever their custom field was, you could use that as a way to mark it back to them. Chris, leave the support specialists alone. They have to answer you. Anyways, so okay, cool. It looks like everybody gets this. In case you don't, in case you still have issues, in case you just want someone to look over what your setup is, then I want to, like I said before, I want to get you guys access to a one-on-one call. To answer your question, Chris, yes, the fields are the answers. Rose, there is definitely a replay. And Peggy, you're just awesome. So, anyways, so for those of you who, you're setting up, whether it's the direct integration, whether you get it, whether you don't get it, or whether you think you get it, but you're not sure you get it, I'm going to get you guys a link to schedule a one-on-one call with a bucket specialist. That'll either be myself or one of our other super smart bucket specialists. And let me do that right now, actually, while I'm thinking about it. Back out of here. Back out of here. I'm going to get you guys a link to this thing so that you can be the first compressor. I'm just going to grab this one. And I'm going to put this in the chat. If you don't know what a one-on-one call is, just so you do know, it's not an actual phone call. It's a Zoom webinar, but it's just one-on-one. It's a Zoom meeting. I shouldn't even call it a webinar. It's a Zoom meeting where the bucket specialist will talk to you one-on-one about your specific issue in your account. We'll do a screen share. We'll walk you through your account. And by the end of that call, you will 100% be on track and moving forward. So whatever your issue is, it will get solved on that Zoom meeting. Basically, it's the ideal next step. If, like I said, if you've started messing with your ESP, if you started integrating it, you're maybe not sure, should I use tags, should I use fields, what am I doing, which one should I use? If you're just like frustrated with it and you want someone to take a look with you, totally get on one of these calls. If you have any other question, I mean, I say the integration stuff because that's what we're talking about, but you're totally invited to get on one of those one-on-one calls to cover any issue you might be having. And like I said, it's someone just looking over your shoulder that's probably done, if you get me on the phone, I know at the very least I've looked at 1,000+ surveys and segmentation funnels over the years. So it's just someone who's looked at these things before and knows what to kind of help you with. It's 15 minutes. It's totally free. It's not like someone's going to sit there and try to sell you something yet. It'll never be that. It's literally all about helping you get on track, feeling empowered, using our software, and basically getting the software where it's running on its own so that you can focus on the important stuff, right? Of course, I've got the social proof here. Everyone loves it. And yeah, and again, like I said, it's totally free as a Bucket subscriber. There are limited available. Those of you who've been on the backlog, you know what I'm talking about. So if you want it, I put the link in the chat. I'm going to do it one more time. Boom. Can everyone see the link? If you can, say yes, please. Yes. Yes, I see it. Thank you. Yes, yes. Awesome. All right, cool. So if you see it, click it, get signed up for it. You will appreciate it and thank me later. Even if you get someone that's not me, you'll still be very grateful. They're very good. All right, guys. So I'm going to scroll back through, see if there's anything I missed that our awesome specialists, support specialists, did not. I'm telling you, these guys, you can't. These are the guys who I have to call if I make a mistake. I'm not going to say I've ever had to call these guys before and act like I'm totally freaked out and like the world's coming to an end, but I may have once or twice. They're awesome. So those are the guys who've been in the chat. How do we submit a request? If you have an issue, if something's not working right or you think it's not working right, or you know for a fact it's not working right, because that's typically what it is, right? We know for a fact it ain't working. It's them, not us. If you need help, click this little smiley face and hit conversation, and you know, one of these people who's on here waiting happily to help you out, they'll be there. And trust me, they are super happy about it. All right. So yes, once again, this is recorded. There will be a replay, even with all the little antics and sound breaking in and out. All that will be there in all its glory for those of you who want to watch this on the replay. And it looks like, I think all of the questions about actual ESP connected to Bucket are answered. Do you have a roadmap that shows which ESPs? No, Rose, I apologize. We do not have the roadmap, but we are, as you can see there, they are driven by active user requests. Oh, I see. Okay, now I see why you asked that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to once again thank you very, very much for getting on this webinar. You're totally welcome for us integrating with Infusionsoft. I'll take the credit for it. I'll take all the thanks for that one. I'm glad this was helpful. Hopefully you find these webinars helpful, and you're totally welcome to get on any one of them. We do them every Tuesday, 9 a.m., 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you aren't already connected to our bucket.io Facebook page, do that. Sometimes email is wonky, it doesn't get delivered, it goes to spam, whatever. But if you're attached to our Facebook page, if you like it, if you're a fan, you'll get those updates in your news feed as you're looking at cat pictures and funny videos of fails and whatnot. All right, folks. This was the bucket.io Connect to Your ESP webinar, and we are out of here. Have a wonderful day.